Okay, we here. We here. I'm back. It's winning plays. This is gonna be the in the clutch segment, and I'm ready. I've been ready to drop this bomb on y'all. This is gonna be a quick, like 15, 20 minute recap of games that happened the night before. If I have something to talk about, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about from last night's games. So we're gonna dive right into it. I'm gonna get to all the house cleaning stuff at the end of the video. So just bear with me. Let's get through this. So we're gonna start with game one, the Hawks and the Knicks. So in this game, I thought it's a game three, and it's back in Atlanta for the first time. And I thought it was one of those commanding 2-1 leads that the Hawks took because they kind of, in a way, dominated the Knicks, one defensively and offensively. The Knicks struggled. Julius Randle struggled. R.J. Barrett struggled. D Rose, he was as consistent. He was getting his buckets. He was doing his thing. I just think that you're not going to. I don't believe that Julius Randle, for one, is going to have another struggling game like he did in this game. He struggled to shoot. He struggled to score around the basket. Like I was saying in my last video, John Collins and Clint Capella, they can make it tough. Like with them in that front court and their defensive presence, like make it tough on Julius Randle, and they did so in this game. Trae Young was phenomenal, a double double. I believe he had 14 assists. Like that's where he needs to be. Like if he's getting his guys involved, like he was, limiting his shots and making the shots that he does take. He was still getting into the lane, getting his floaters off. He hit some big threes in that game. So and he was engaged with the crowd. All of the whole team for Atlanta, they were engaged with the crowd. They kept them involved. They would hit a big shot. They would go on a run, and they just kind of dominated this game and just made New York look like they weren't supposed to be on the floor with them in that game. So it was one of those like commanding 2-1 leads that I say that they took in this series because there's other series within the playoffs that aren't that way, but this one they made this game look like that. So big game for the Hawks for them leading forward. Let's see what they can do in game four. I believe that the Knicks will bounce back. Like I said, I don't believe that they'll struggle offensively like they did in this game. They'll make some adjustments. They'll figure it out. So that game four is going to be crucial for definitely the Knicks. If the Hawks can go ahead and sweep their two home games, it's going to be a big turnaround for the next games moving forward, game five and a potential game six, because now the Knicks are going to be back on the ropes. So we'll see how they respond. Really good game, though. I really enjoyed watching this game and this series so far. Now we're going to get to the second game that I want to talk about because I want to swing to the Clippers and the Mavericks first. This was a big game for the Clippers, and they made it happen. They can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. They won game three, and they actually looked really well in this game. They were really efficient. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard really stepped up. Kawhi had 34, I believe, and Paul George had like 28, 27. So they were doing really well in this game as far as shooting efficiency. Marcus Morris hit 3 threes in the fourth quarter, which was huge for them because the Mavericks were trying to make a late game push, and they kind of just closed the deal on them. They played great defense, I thought, in the game. They let Luka have his. He had 44, 9, and 9. Like, Luka was getting his still. He was, like, keeping his team in the game because the others on his team were just struggling. They were struggling to make shots, even shots that they were hitting early in the game or getting open looks. Later in the game, those just did not fall because it's a really big game for the Clippers because, like, the Mavericks came out and they punched them in the mouth. I mean, they were up 19. Like, I'm just like, oh, here they go. They about to embarrass them off this court. And they did something really well, I thought the Clippers did. Soon as Luka went to the bench, they made that run. They closed that 19-point gap to 1 point. And that was a huge swing for them. Every time Luka was out the game, the Clippers made a run, even in the second quarter and a little bit in the third quarter. And that's what took and propelled them to get in the lead and being able to, once they got the lead in the second half, they pretty much kept it, and they were just really trying to close out the game from there. For the Mavericks, I want to see more from Porzingis. Porzingis was like non-existent in this game. Like I knew he was on the court, but it didn't feel like he was really on the court. Like he was just kind of hiding. Like he had a couple shots here and there if you watch the full game, but he just didn't make no impact. Like he didn't make an impact near the rim. He didn't make an impact in rebounding. He didn't make it any like poor. I don't know where Porzingis was at in this game, and it's one of those points that everybody makes with the Mavericks is like when Porzingis and Doncic is on, it's like hard for the Clippers to beat them, especially in those first two games. But then you come in game three, Porzingis doesn't show up, the others struggle later in the game. Doncic has to do it on his own, and they lose. So it's one of those things that for moving forward in this series, especially for game four, because it's going to be one of those big games for the Clippers again. Like every game in this series is going to be big for them going down 2-0 from the start. Is going to be, can we shoot efficiently? Because I don't think they're going to keep that efficient shooting up. But it's, can we shoot well, but can we also play solid defense and make these guys think, make Luka get into an uncomfortable position here and there because he's going to make shots, he's going to get to the rim, and he's going to find his teammates. But once he finds his teammates, can y'all close out and make them take contested jumpers? Because the first two games, they weren't really doing that. And now if it can force them to do that, it will really swing this series into a favorable position for the Clippers to say, hey, if we can tie this series up 2-2 going back to LA, we can change the series up since we have home court advantage. So that's going to be important for them. And I just want to see how both teams respond come next game, because last night's game was really, it was impressive, but it was also one of those games where it's like, I don't really know what to think moving forward because it's only one game. And, you know, guys didn't really show up on one end. The guys did show up on the other end. One thing I did like that the Clippers did was they kind of it took Patrick Beverley out the game. I think that at this point in time in this series, Terrence Mann is better fitted for this series than Patrick Beverley, because Terrence Mann is about 6'5", 6'6", maybe, I think. And he plays really good, solid defense, and he really is solid on the offensive floor. He can put the ball on the floor, get to the rim. He showed that in this game. He can shoot. He can knock down a shot or two when you need him to. He makes passes that are really good. He doesn't like turn the ball over a lot. So I think he's really where they need to go and say, Patrick Beverley, we might put you in later on down the line in the playoffs if they win this series. But right now, Terrence Mann is definitely the guy to go to instead of Patrick Beverley. So I like that adjustment that Ty Lue made, playing him way more than Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley didn't even get 10 minutes in this game because as soon as he is in the game, they're attacking him. They're going at him. Like, Zubac played well. I thought he cleaned the glass well on the offensive end, gave his team a lot of second chance opportunities at buckets, and that was good because he was getting the rebound and kicking it out instead of just trying to go back up on a guy in the paint. So I really appreciate Zubac's effort in this game. I don't know where Serge or, Boogie are, but it seems like they don't really fit in this series. Ty Lue has seen. They went with Nick Batum, and it worked. The actual rotation that they played tonight really worked. I mean, last night, it worked for them. So kudos to Ty Lue and his coaching and his coaching staff for making those adjustments. Okay, so now I want to get into that big 50-point game. Jayson Tatum, I got to talk about Jayson Tatum real quick because Jayson Tatum is just one of those guys. Like, I'm ready to see him at like 26, 27, 28 years old when all of these like guys that are like LeBron and Curry and, like Damian Lillard, all of those guys, when they're older, Kevin Durant, when all of those guys are like out the league and Jayson Tatum like is in his prime, like he is going to be magical. He's going to be like a top 3, top 5 player in this league, no doubt about it. Like, the way he was picking his spots, like he's a tough shot maker, and he made those tough shots last night. And like James Harden had a great game, Kevin Durant had a great game. Like, I think Kyrie, he had some good moments, I thought, in the game, but we all know he struggled. Like, he talked about, kind of what the Boston Celtics fans were gonna do to him as far as the heckling and stuff, and they booed him every time he touched the ball. They booed him, and it kind of maybe affected him and threw him off his game a little bit. Um, but on the other end, I mean, Jayson Tatum was phenomenal. Like he just gets to his like the way he can get to his spots, and he's just like calling over a screen to get a smaller defender on him, like a Kyrie. Like it was crazy. It didn't even matter who was guarding him last night. This dude is special. Like he was getting to the mid range. The dude is just crazy good, and I'm just so ready to see him take those leaps into his prime and see what type of player he can be, because I do believe he will be a championship type of player. He's a winning basketball player, and it's just really special to watch. This was more so me just trying to show love to Jayson Tatum and his 50-point game, because he is since the month of April and he has been crazy. I think this is his like third or fourth 50-point game since the start of April, and then he also had a 60. So like this dude is phenomenal at scoring the ball, but then on the other end, like it's leading to wins. Like he led this team to a win. In the play-in, he had 50 and they won. So it's not just like a 50 and they lose. Like he's really making a big impact on the game. I thought Marcus Smart showed up. He made some big plays. I like what Kemba did late in that game. He had a huge rebound. Then they came down. They gave him the ball. He makes a move past Kyrie, hits a little mid-range jumper, and that was one of those kind of seal-the-deal moments in the game. So that was a big moment. I thought that their defense, their hustle, their effort really led them to this win. Tristan Thompson gave them some good energy and some good effort on the glass, which helped. And then on the other end for Brooklyn, I mean, they ran into the Celtics, who were hungry to get a win. Like I said this in my previous video, I didn't think the Nets would sweep any series. I knew that teams were going to come out and give them their all, especially when those teams go to their home building. Like they're going to play the Nets really tough, and they did that. But the Nets, they still showed up. James Harden was phenomenal. James Harden is he's on another level as far as scoring, getting his teammates involved. So when he's playing like that, like you have to capitalize. I thought KD was really good. He was efficient. He was Kevin Durant. So Blake Griffin got into foul trouble, which I'm like, he's got to limit his fouls, because he was giving opportunities to the Celtics and with the fouls that he had. And so you have to kind of limit those fouls that give offensive opportunities. But other than that, that was a really great game. I'm excited for the games tonight. So if things are exciting and there's no blowouts and games are close, games are gritty, it goes down to the wire, or I just have some things to talk about, man, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll drop another one of these videos. Just remember, man, like, comment, and please subscribe. If you fucking with the videos and you want to see more content, man, subscribe. Let me know. Give me some feedback in the comment section. I'm in there. And just, man, shout out to y'all. We out. Peace.